Hey Adventures, so last weekend San Diego Comic-Con happened and Amazon released a new trailer for the Rings of Power, so I will be reacting to that. I haven't watched it yet. I've seen a couple images from it, but I haven't watched the trailer yet because I wanted to be able to record my reaction. I'm filming this on Sunday. I wasn't in a position where I could film a trailer or film a reaction at the moment, so I waited until I could film. And so I'm going to film my reaction. I think they've released some more character posters, and I probably won't go over those just because they're character posters. I really don't have a whole lot to say about them. I think that's about all that I'm going to talk about though. So anyways, I'm going to react to this trailer and give my thoughts on it as I go, or probably after I get done. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, here we go.
We thought the war, at last, was ended.
Today, our days of peace begin.
We thought our joys would be unending. We thought our light would never dim.
The skies are strange.
The moment we feared.
Evil does not sleep. It waits.
Beyond the darkness, tempting shadow to bury us all beneath the mountain.
He has no one name, but many.
Have you heard of him, lad? Have you heard of Sauron?
If the evil rising is left unchecked, it will take us all. Find the light, and the shadow will not find you. Together we can survive this! Fight with me.
Each of us must decide who we shall be.
There can be no trust between hammer and rock. Eventually, one or the other must surely break.
You have been told many lies of Middle-earth.
That trailer did absolutely nothing for me. I was not terribly impressed with that. A lot of it did feel like the Hobbit trailers, the trailers for the Hobbit movies, and just the way that it was pieced together and edited together and everything. And so there's a little bit of that does harken back to those movies, which I do. So there's a little bit of that is okay. Again, some of the scenery is beautiful, as it should be with the amount of money that's gone into this show. But I don't know, none of the footage that was shown there particularly made me think, okay, this trailer tells me that this show's gonna be even better or anything than I was thinking. So that's really not what I wanted to see, I guess. There was a lot of it that looked very generic fantasy in this trailer, a lot more than main teaser or main trailer or whatever that was released about a week ago. That trailer, I thought, gave us a sense of who Galadriel was and gave us something to look forward to with that trailer. This one, I just didn't see a whole lot in there. I mean, yeah, there's some cool images. Seeing a Balrog again, that's how exactly that fits into everything, I'm not entirely sure, but it does make sense because that Balrog is in Moria. That's part of what caused Moria, Great Dwarven City, to collapse. So I'm okay with a little bit of that's what we're seeing. It needs a little bit of something more than this trailer gave me. One of the images that I saw right as this trailer was being released the other day was that first shot of Galadriel stacking a helmet on a stack of other helmets. And I hadn't looked closely, so I thought it was a skull. Still, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. How did they get the helmets up stacked up that high? Like, was somebody climbing on the helmet? Like, why? How is this stack of helmets working exactly? Were they just chucking them on top? Like, I don't know. It's a cool looking image, but there's something about it that just screams, this doesn't make sense. And I'm seeing a lot of that with this show. I want this show to be so good. You guys have all heard my thoughts, so hopefully this video will be pretty short. You guys all know my thoughts. You've all heard me talk about how scared I am for this show, and little things like this tell me, wait a second, they aren't quite thinking through everything. One other thing that I almost forgot, but I did see that during the panel at San Diego Comic-Con, they were interviewing the cast, and the lady who plays the Dwarven Princess, which is Disa, I think, is her name, is the character's name. She did say something about this is the first time a female dwarf has ever been seen on screen, which is not true. We actually do see them in the Hobbit movies. Yes, they're very brief, and yes, they don't have a whole lot of a role, but we are seen on screen. So it's little things like that where they just didn't quite do all the research that they should have. We'll see. I really can't say anything about this trailer because it really didn't do anything for me. I'll watch it a couple more times probably and see if I pick out some other things. But really, this trailer did nothing to excite me, or I'd say it did more to make me less excited than it did. Oh, actually, okay, I will say that. I liked I don't know, there's a scene of Galadriel swimming with looks like a sea monster in the background. I like sea monsters. I will be interested to see what they do with that because that could be really cool. Also, not really in the books, but we'll see if it happens. A couple of the things that I noticed that I do kind of like about this is the narration of this trailer, where it sounds like Galadriel's speaking in a poem again. I like the poem, and I like the feeling that it is invoking. And then there's a shot of a bunch of elves sitting around a table dining with lamps hanging down and trees all around. That looks very elven to me. So I do like that. Again, other than the short-haired elves. But, I just noticed that there's a dwarf there as well. So anyways, a couple more things that I do like visually in the trailer, and the way that they're played out, but the trailer as a whole really doesn't do much for me. And then the thing that I really didn't like is this kid. He's not a kid, I'm sure, but he seems like a really young actor in his 20s. It's just, I don't know, there's something about him that looks really strange. Obviously costuming and everything, that's part of that makes him look so strange, but something about it feels very generic fantasy and not very Lord of the Rings, which I understand Lord of the Rings is the kind of the epitome of generic fantasy because it's kind of what generic fantasy is based off of at this point. But that doesn't change the fact that Lord of the Rings still has its own. It feels so unique, it feels so distinct, and I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but it feels like it belonged to Tolkien in a way that a lot of other generic fantasy doesn't. So there's some things about this trailer that really aren't working for me at all, and that's not what I want to see. I've kind of rambled and talked over this now plenty long time, and I don't need to continue on with it. But this trailer didn't really do anything for me. I kind of wish that they wouldn't have released the trailer at SDCC and they would have just left it on that main trailer that they released a couple weeks ago, or last week I think. So that's where I'm at right now, but we will see what happens. I don't feel the need to go over those character posters. Okay, so I wanted to do this quick insertion here because Total Film released a couple more images of the Rings of Power. The first one is of an orc. So one of the same orcs that we've already seen several times. I don't really have anything to comment on because I've already commented on the orcs. The next one is of a bunch of dwarfs, specifically focused on, I believe it's during the fourth. I have something to say about this one, so I'll come back to this one momentarily. Then we've got an image of a bunch of elves, specifically Gil-galad looking out with his arm raised. I'll have all these images up so you can see them. And that one, I really don't have a whole lot to say about that one because I don't know what's going on. It might be in Linden. That's kind of where I hope and want it to be. Then we've got a behind the scenes shot of Princess Disa getting her hair and makeup done, or touched up or whatever, on set. Then we've got one more of Galadriel getting her makeup done. I really have nothing to say about the two BTS shots. There's nothing really for me to say because I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, I do like BTS stuff, so that's kind of cool to see. But going back to this one about the dwarfs, this is something that we've heard now several times about the female dwarves being in the show. And I of course, I and everybody else has already mentioned the whole thing with the bearded or non-bearded dwarf women, and that's fine. I'm not going to go over that again, but one of the things about this show, and specifically dwarf women, is that within Tolkien's world there are not that many dwarf women specifically. That's part of the world. I mean, it's not that he had something against women or dwarf women or anything like that. It's just simply that for the way that world works, there's not actually that many dwarf women in the world that exist. And I've seen more images of female dwarfs in this show than I have of male dwarfs. And so that's another little thing about the show that I'm just kind of like, why are you putting such a big focus on the female dwarfs when in reality there aren't that many to begin with? So that's just some more random thoughts there. Anyways, back to the main video. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday and Wednesdays for adaptation stuff if I have something. Of course, I'll be doing more Rings of Power stuff as it comes out. We'll just see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.